What's everybody? I'm Coach Eddie Young, and we're in the Middle School Football Academy 2023 Summer Clinic. And straight from Maryland, we got my brother, Coach Rick Sneade, coming with you today. Coach, how you doing this morning?
Doing awesome. Thank you.
Good stuff. I tell you, this was a special request. This brother said he had a lot of information, a lot of things that he could share. And I said, "What about counter?" He said, "I got you." So I'm going to slide out the way and let Coach have it.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm hoping that what I give you guys is a great deal of ideas and information about how you can utilize counter in your game through multiple sets, multiple formations, and utilizing multiple different talent and players. If there's any point you have a question, please feel free to speak out. Leave something in the comment section. All that's good to go. But I'm going to move pretty quickly after I cover the baseline understanding of what counter tray is. And then at the end, if there's time for questions, please, by all means, ask them. But I also want you to understand and know that if we do move too quickly and there's something that you may want to come back and uncover, I want you to know that I'm here to help serve you. So we can come back and visit at another time. I'll give you my information at the end so you guys can kind of get a hold of me. So let's jump right into this. All right. I'm hoping we had this going a minute ago. So let's go make sure that we get this going. I want to make sure I get the slide up.
Oh, yeah, not a problem, Coach.
Are you seeing the slide, Coach?
No, sir, not yet. Do so. Go to present,
Yep.
and
How
then
about now? Looking at the PowerPoint?
I'm looking at your screen. But I tell you what, if you go to present, and then
Don't know why it's not working right now, Coach.
oh, it's not a problem, brother. The share screen, if you have it as a window,
And that's what I thought I had it as. It's not coming up. One second.
it's all right.
I don't know why it's doing this for me right now.
That's all good, brother.
All right, here we go. Present, share screen, window. Here we go. All right, guys. Sorry. We got it right now, Coach, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, multiple ways to use counter in your offense. You guys, I'm the offensive coordinator and head coach here at Calvert High School, located in Prince Rupert, Maryland, as said before. And here we go. So, counter tray for us is obviously a play in which we double team at the point of attack. At this point right now, this is rip 6 for us. We're coming to the right side. We label our holes even numbers to the right, odd numbers to the left. And so we're building this play to the right. This is the base way we teach the play. I'm not sharing right now the rules. We're a big rule team. So each player on this picture right now has a specific assignment and rule. And it's basically built around if this, then this. Lyman here, something like uncovered rules and covered rules. Again, I'm not going to get down into weeds that much. My background since I started coaching in 1996 or 5, has been offensive line play. So I can sit here and get into the water and really dig in a whole lot deeper than it's necessary. So the base understanding is we're going to have a double team here at the point of attack, and then we're working to the backside linebacker with our double team, and that kind of stays the same throughout the entire day. Sorry, you just went back. Let's go back. Previous. Got a very delicate mouse here on my new computer, so bear with me. All right, so the other thing is that we have 2 players, and I say 2 players. Right now you're looking at as the backside guard and backside tackle. That's the purple gentleman here, and the green gentlemen here, those guys are labeled right now as the pullers that go across the center, and they're going to occupy and kick out the first player in the C gap touching the tight end out. And so that's the way we reference it. We don't pull to a man, we pull to an area. The tackle is going to actually pull, or the green player, the player who represents the guy pulling for the play side linebacker. We call him the pig in our offense. That guy is the first linebacker who is 3 yards or deeper inside the tackle box, or inside our tight end, excuse me. And then, of course, the fullback here, you can see he's going to block back and replace the B gap out. So that way we have no hard chaser, chase and play from below or from behind. The tailback, is going to make some type of counter action away from where we're running, and then come through, take the handoff, and get through the 6 hole. The fullback or quarterback obviously is going to reverse open, make the handoff, and then boot out the opposite way, setting up for waggle. That is the nuts and bolts of this play. What I want you guys to understand is that we see the guard here and the tackle represented here as the primarily players and pulling across the center. What I want to show you today is how we use other players, sometimes a Y, sometimes a fullback, sometimes a U, to pull instead of using the tackle or even the guard to help give us an advantage at the point of attack, also manipulating linebackers that may be keying and reading our guards or tackles. And so that's important to us. We love this scheme because it does not require a specific body type or athlete. That's why we're in a gap scheme. We want to preach and teach angles, coming down, block at angles. We also want people to pull. And I think that, we can get guys to pull. If we have stronger, bigger, more physical athletes, then yes, it makes this play work that much more. But in the case that we may not have a big, strong physical athlete, we're not married to a system in which we body up and man-on-man somebody and try to drive someone off the ball at the point. We can get angles, and we can come off the ball and create double teams at the point of attack. Just so you have an understanding of our frame of reference here, we have pretty wide splits, but we start with those splits and we condense them down or widen them based upon our kids' ability. We're also at level 3, which means it puts our center or our guards and tackles and our tight ends helmet at the hip of the center. We are really deep and we fly off the ball. We take a good hard inside step, be it whatever step we need to take to the person we're trying to block. And we've got a lot of weight on the balls of our feet and on the hand coming forward with a lot of aggression and speed. All right. We also believe that this way, and running this, we have the chance to take advantage of their weakest and best players, putting them in constraints. So you hear me talk about that quite a bit. Just go to the next slide. So right now, real quick, let's go back again. These are just some base formations that we use. I'm not going to sit down and talk a lot about it, but you're going to hear this when we start going through some of the plays. You're going to see this when we go through the huddle. And the reason being is I want to kind of give you an overview of what we're talking about, so that way you kind of have frame reference. Again, Roger, for us, 2-syllable word. Louis, 2-syllable word. So we have 2 receivers together. And we use the R and L to indicate where our tight end is. The tight end's got a lot to remember. The better the football IQ of our tight end, the more we can do with him. But right now, we do know going in that the tight end is going to have to remember, formations. He's going to remember blocking assignments and passing routes and passing concepts. Rip and Liz is our pro basic set. These are the 2 primary formations that we're going to use as I show you some of the plays we're working on today. Now, these are some basic alignments that we use with our fullback, the F. All right. You look to the left here, we have near and far. Near puts the fullback at traditional I formation depth, which is 5 yards, heel at 5 yards, and he is near the formation, near the tight end. And so that's the way we teach our fullbacks alignment. He's lined up behind the guard. Again, that movement or that spacing and alignment could move one way to the left or right. Our running backs coach does a good job of that, fitting the ability of that fullback, getting to where we want him to be. And, of course, far puts him away from the tight end. Fog and Foggo. Fog puts him as a sniffer right behind the guard. And then that's, again, to the tight end. Foggo is opposite of the other call. So instead of him being behind the guard where the tight end is, he's on the guard away from the tight end. Again, moving quickly, guys. This stuff is not as important as really the plays itself. Again, you'll hear me talk about some other things here. You'll see in our formation calls and our play calls, we're going to put the fullback in multiple different spots when we move the fullback around on the field. And again, I know a lot of people just sit into a base formation, Rip Liz, Roger Louis, spread right, deuces right, whatever it might be. And they sit in that, and that's fine. But for us, we really manipulate and utilize different formations, and we take players and put them in a lot of different spots. And so if you look at what we have here on the left, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Golf, Hotel, India. Our fullback learns that phonetic alphabet from the military tells them where they line up on the field. Over here to the right, you have RIP. And what that is right now that's telling our tight end whether we use Yaz, which is yo or a Y outside the Z, or yo, Y is in between the Z and the end man line of scrimmage. Flex moves our Y or our tight end just slightly wider from his alignment, his natural alignment, seeing how far maybe we can get our defensive end to move with us, again, setting up the play that we're running very well. And of course, Y off is where we have the tight end off. And of course, the Z would then come on. Again, these are just alignment things I want to kind of cover as we jump into this. All right, so now real quick, personnel. This is a big thing for us because we utilize personnel. And again, we can call these a lot of different things. But the reason why we utilize personnel is we know we end up finding kids that maybe will do specific things. And maybe in the case that we have, a extra lineman that we could get into the playing field, and he's big, strong, physical. He's a guard. He understands how to pull and kick out. Hey, we might replace the fullback with this guy if we've got a matchup issue on the kick out block with the defensive end. Or whatever it might be. So these things are important for us, and it allows us the ability to get multiple players involved in the game. And it specializes some guys a little bit, but you know what? If you have the ability to do that and make sure you can execute the play at the highest level possible, we want to do that. So you hear me talk about 21 personnel, which is traditionally, 2 running backs and a tight end. 31 H personnel means we've got a H coming in, and we'll designate where he goes. He's generally replacing the X. So he's going to be on the line of scrimmage. That H will be on the line of scrimmage, so it could be an extra tight end. And we're, again, 3. We're talking about 3 running back types in there. And then 31U, now that guy's coming in replacing the Z. So we've got a guy who's off. He's an extra guy in the backfield that we can move, manipulate, pull, kick out, whatever. And, of course, 11 is traditional 1 tight end, 1 running back. We utilize formations to create constraints to defensive space and defensive players. We're always looking to figure out how we can get a man advantage, how we can occupy space with an extra person that the defense has to make a decision on how they're going to cover. Are they going to cover the space and also cover some spot in the box that they're responsible to? Of course, we know about RPOs. That's one way to do it. But the other way of doing it is, of course, with formations, is now with the formation, if we know we have leverage right away, then, of course, we've got this bubble that we want to run to. We're going to go there first. So we believe formation is important for that. Personnel groups, on the other hand, allows us to utilize specific skill sets from specific players to get us in a situation where we're outmatching the other man. Maybe it's speed, maybe it's size, whatever it might be. All right, so the results for us is the opposition now has to prepare for multiple looks with multiple variations in a specific play that doesn't overtask the offense. So that means we can still play fast. And what I say by that is you're going to see counter multiple ways in the next following slides. And we don't overtask the line. They are still running on the play side, the same system. They're blocking double teams to the backside linebacker, and we are pulling somebody from the backside to kick out, and we're wrapping somebody. Somebody's got the play side linebacker responsibility. Somebody's got the kick out. Now, we may want to slow up a backside linebacker with an RPO, a little slant behind it, or a hitch. We're going to do all those things. The defensive end, maybe that defensive end's closing, and maybe our fullback can't kick him out and replace him on the backside when we pull that tackle. We might read that defensive end at the quarterback, give him the option to run. All these things to manipulate other players. So, again, the big other thing is that we're able to utilize more people. So then we're just not relegated to 11 guys and limited in our offensive sets, because the fullback, who's traditionally the guy who does all these things, back in the old days we used to run this, he may not be big enough to do certain things. We can change it up. Of course, he's the fullback, so he's probably the guy we want to throw a waggle to. And so we can use him when we need to do that, and we can use him on traditional sets to run the traditional play that we're talking about here. But again, we can change out other players that may have better ability to do the things we're asking them to do. Next slide here. So jumping in real quick to it, You saw the original play. Here is typical opportunity that we use when we have a defensive end on the backside who is just closing extremely hard. Notice now we are not blocking that defensive end. And if we don't occupy that defensive end, that backside linebacker, outside backer here, if we don't occupy him, he will close down and make a play on our tailback, and that's fine. Let's put him in a constraint. Now this W, we're calling him a W here, but this purple guy who's the W could be an F, could be whatever. We're now slipping him into the flat. A simple way to run this play. He doesn't have to block the outside backer now. And you know what? That outside backer, he's been taught all week to squeeze and collision and blow up our fullback. Fine, let him squeeze. We're now going to slip that W out. We're going to block the corner and the safety, and the quarterback's now reading the flat. If this backer closes, is responsible to flat, we're throwing it to the W. If that backer sits, then we're going to run counter, taking away his opportunity to make the play. Again, look at the front side. We are still blocking counter the traditional way. Still blocking counter. Now notice, we can run counter two different variations. We have a counter short, which means we may run this right inside this 5 technique, but regular base counter, excuse me, let me go back, allows us to go ahead and run this kicking out the 9 technique. Again, the traditional rules for us says that the first player covering the Y outside is the guy we kick out. If there is no Y there, no tight end, then it's kicking out the first guy at 5 technique and out, or the first C gap player out. So again, we have some variations to that. So that's one way to run it. We call that gun left Roger Foggo. Again, he's Foggo, 6 counter read flat. The next play, again, this looks very different, but it's still counter. And guess what we're still doing? We're still manipulating this outside backer here. All right, so that guy is going to be manipulated by the jet sweep action. This jet sweep it may not be part of our arsenal, but the people have to respect it. So, excuse me, with this Z, happened to be the Z this year because this guy was a pretty talented receiver for us. Him running across and flashing across the quarterback prior to the snap gives this outside backer the responsibility to make sure that he is occupying the space and ensuring he doesn't get leveraged by this Z. Now, they could rotate the safety down, and that's fine too. We're going to have to understand that this Z has got to beat the corner or safety, be it how we decide to block it. But again, right now, this is not a read. This is true counter. Now, up top, if we're seeing this backer's squeezing down, guess what we're going to do? We're going to run jet sweep. And to be honest with you guys, not to make it too hard, we can run jet sweep this way. I mean, really, we don't have to do anything else. If the backside backer right here is playing his position well and doing what he's taught to do, when he sees the guard pull, he should be working and sliding this way. We can run jet sweep. And again, the Z should be able to beat these guys the outside. All right. Now, if in fact we want to get more intricate on this, well, we can do some other things with it. This is where we start adding layers to this play. If we just tag this T lead, 6 Q counter read, what that means now is we can actually shuffle. T goes through as if he's getting the ball, but there's no fake. He just runs through the gap, leads through. The Q then shuffles left, reading this backer, this outside backer. The Z comes across his face. The Z, he's holding and riding that ball. If the daggone backside linebacker squeezes, he lets Z go. If the backside backer holds, well, then Q just ducks in and runs behind. It's a really quick hitting play, but again, all from counter. All from counter. Next one. All right. Again, here, we're running Z now, okay? Z flat. You saw me run the F flat before. Now we're running Z flat. Z comes across. We can throw the ball to the flat if this backer's occupied and squeezing hard. Again, we don't account for him with the fullback kicking out. But the other thing that's in here is we also could create the RPO with the W slant. This is a second level possible RPO. Again, built upon what the safety and this backer is doing. How are they making adjustments to fill the box? And you notice here as well, giving you guys a different look, we're running counter short. That means instead of us kicking out this backer, we're kicking out this end. We may choose to do that because that defensive end is a softer player than that outside backer. Again, that would be a game decision that we made, practice earlier that week, part of our game plan after watching film analysis. Here, once again, we're still run counter. Now, this is counter switch. Notice that now we're not pulling the tackle, but we once again, still have someone assigned to the play side linebacker. All right. This is the fullback's job. We've put him in a different alignment. He is pulling through, and he's got the responsibility to block the pig. We call that F switch. All right. The guard is still kicking out. Notice again, right now in this formation, this alignment, we could be a team that's Y heavy. We're running hard to the Y. All right. So they're going to adjust and keep this safety down the box. We get this corner playing the outside. It puts them in a bind out here. And again, looking to put players in constraint. Right now, we're looking at how can we constrain this safety? Because a lot of times in these 5-2 base teams, these strong safeties are pretty good at fitting the alley. Well, he's got to make a decision. And one time or another, if we just throw the choice out here, X comes off, blocks the corner, and then we run a little bubble or a little hitch here to the Z, give him an opportunity to catch the ball and go. This S has got to now loosen up and get out of the box. Again, he's the only fallen player right now that can make a play on this counter. So everybody else has got to play the positions really well. We've got to coach our kids up to play the positions real well, but they're a gap down if that safety runs out of the box. All right, here we go. This is a little different now. Now we're running switch again, but we don't have a fullback in the game. We're 11 personnel. We're going to use our Y, running Y switch. And again, we can motion him across. He kind of settles down, snap the ball. He's leading up through. Now our Y has the first linebacker inside the tackle who's 5 yards off the ball. And we can, again, tag this with a W replace or W slant. Again, to take advantage of this will back here, the backside linebacker might be flying out of the box hard. Reason being we do that, men, is because we want to make sure that we get maximum movement in this tackle. And if by chance we don't have a way to hold this guy because we're going to stay on the double team a little longer, well, these backside hold replacement routes are a perfect way to do that. Because in the end, if this guy's closing and squeezing too hard, we have this vacancy here that the quarterback can go to. And we'll see that in film in a minute. Now, this is some really radical stuff here. We've now replaced the personnel group. Our Z has left the game, and we replace it with U. U, this past year, was an extra guard. In fact, he was a 225-pound wrestler for us. He was the extra guard. And since he was the guard who knew how to play the guard position traditionally and was also our defensive end starting and playing most of the reps, we didn't want to have him playing offensive guard as well. So we were able to utilize him in certain situations and play the U. And so notice here now, we have a situation where we motion him. Okay, he's running U switch, which means he's pulling through. He's got the pig. But we have this fullback here. And so the fullback's going to counter step. We call this F lead. So now the fullback is leading through. Now we have an extra man that we normally don't have at the point of attack. So that all happens because we removed the Z. Now, we, of course, know that this is going to bring the corner down the box because we don't have a Z out here. We don't have anybody else out here as a wideout occupying these players. So it's going to bring an extra player to the box. All right, that's the trade-off. But now we have our fullback, who's typically a good, strong kid, and we have this U running through the gap, and they may be fitting up on this corner or this safety. We always like to get our big guys on their skinnies because a lot of times those skinnies could be playing wide out. They could be doing multiple things, and they don't regularly like guys from the box running at them. So that's how we do it. If you look here, again, we've got a motion short back. We have the F in a different alignment. And again, because we're running other plays out of this that we're not going to get into, we could be running sweep out of this. We could be doing a lot of things based upon the gaps that we have. Because if you look here right now, based upon this alignment, we have an extra man that we could attack here. So we're going to use this to set up as a formation and then come back and run counter. Down here, once again, you see another way, which we're attacking that extra gap. And so this, again, is a way that we utilize another personnel setting, running counter switch, which means somebody is replacing the pulling tackle. The guard is still pulling and kicking out. I know I didn't draw it up here, but I want you to kind of focus on the extra personnel that we're using. All right, the U is replacing the tackle now, pulling for the pig, and the fullback is now leading through as an extra blocker. That's one variation. All right, now this personnel group, this is another variation. We loved our tight end pulling, and so this W represents our tight end. But what we did is we wanted to get extra beef because these people that we were playing in this particular matchup put some solid stud here at tackle. We knew they were going to do that, which wasn't a problem for our tight end typically, but we wanted to make sure that we had an extra wide load there and create a great movement at that double team to ensure that we got maximum movement at the 5 or at the 6 hole. So the W now represents our tight end. And so we have an extra tackle in the game. Again, it's still counter tray. The W now is pulling for the pig, and now the guard's kicking out. Guard's kicking out here. W's pulling for the pig. All right. And again, you can see built in here are some replacement routes. Again, if you're starting to hit this hard and we're really gashing them, you can imagine that this backer is going to end up sliding across, and we're going to fill that void. All right. Now, 13U, 12U personnel. Now we've literally gone with 3 backs in the backfield. We now, in this case, on the right, have our Z still in. Here on the left, we've taken a Z out. We have multiple guys pulling from the backfield now. So again, you can see the U is now kicking out. We call this bozo. So now instead of the guard pulling, the U is pulling and kicking out. That bozo means we're doing something, we're clowning around with the linebackers. Because this linebacker, in many games in which we would use something like this, is taught to read the guard. Well, we just want that guy to be a step slower. And we can make him a step slower if the guard doesn't pull. Now, they may start reading the U. Well, then we can start influencing and have the U go the opposite way and pull guard and tackle. So all these things work out for us. Again, you can see the F is the extra player. Men, if you counted the amount of gaps that we have here and the number of people we're bringing to the table, they can't account for this stuff. And if they start doing that, then, of course, we've got waggle and we got things that we can run the other direction on. And here we go. This is short yardage goal line. Now, this is us running what we call counter base. And when we do that, now we're not pulling any linemen. We're short yardage. We're at the goal line. Our stance is a little closer. We're now at level 2 because we're not pulling people. We got a lot of weight on the hands, not balanced in our stance anymore. And now we're going to literally use these backs in the backfield to create the puller for the kick out and the wrap for the lead. So in this case, the fullback's coming underneath the quarterback. He's kicking out. And then the gold tailback is stepping through to lead. And then this purple tailback's taking his counter step and getting a handoff, or vice versa. And then here we've got an inverted bone look, a little tighter line. These guys are like 3 yards, 2 to 3 yards from the guards, and they're operating and kicking out and pulling, and this thing happens pretty quickly. Again, another variation. And again, for us, maybe these Fs would be 2 linemen coming in, 2 guards. Maybe they're fullbacks because, again, we also run power, and power requires our fullback to what? Kick out the first guy in a C gap out. And so these guys are very familiar with that too. And because we run switch, it wouldn't be difficult for us to expect our next fullback to be able to understand how to pull and wrap through to get to the play side linebacker. I hope that is good to go, men, because what I want to do now is I want to get into film. So real quick, this is some information here. If you got a phone handy, take a snapshot of it. But we're going to come back to this at the end and ensure that you have my contact info so that way we can get in touch with each other if you have additional questions. So I'm going to stop sharing here, and I'm going to get to the film. Present. Share screen. All right. All right, I'm going to roll through this pretty quick too because I've got several different plays that I want to show you guys, and so that way you guys can ask questions and we have multiple angles. So this is just traditional rip 6. So this is what you guys are used to seeing. Base, right? Rip 6. All right, real quick, just to highlight the points of this play that you guys are familiar with. All right, we're going to have the double team here. All right, we've got the tight end taking the path to wherever anybody here is, hopefully to the backside linebacker. But you can see this particular team has walked up into the gaps. So we're going to be most likely maydaying this, meaning we're going to come down. You're going to lose a double team, but that's fine. So now this is why we block space. This guard should be kicking out the first man, past the tight end, and then this tackle should be wrapping for the first play side linebacker, the linebacker who is 3 to 5 yards deep, all right, inside the tight end. So these guys are not considered all D linemen. And so if we get through this trash here and we're able to just one-on-one down block everything, we don't have anybody in the middle of the field to tackle the running back. And just so you guys are aware, this is our tight end back here. He was a running back as a junior, as a senior. We used him as a tight end. So this is us kind of giving him a little bit of a bone here. So counter step, we're down. Our tight end believed that that kid was lined up as an inside technique. He based him. Maybe we told him to base. I'm not sure. But this is his first year playing ball for us. You can see these guys are in the box. We're mating us down, down, down. It's a little bit later in the game. Different tight end in there. That's counter, regular 6 counter. All right, so rip 7. Now we're going to the weak side here. All right. That tackle who pulls and wraps to the linebacker, picking up the space. So, again, we're talking about this tackle should be wrapping and pulling for the pig. He's going to pick up the first trash that inserts in this space here. All right, the guard is pretty quick. I think he bypasses 19. Can't explain why. He might have been eyeballing a particular player and not blocking to the space. But not excited about the way this tackle pulls and hits, but he's only a freshman for us. Yep, pulling guard, bypass to kick out block, but still effective. And you can see us running it to the defensive inside, short side of the field. Nope, sorry, guys. I also want to highlight, and it's a huge coaching point for us, and I can't tell you how many times, it's not necessarily the running back coach's, fault, but as an offensive line coach, we really drill this home. The steps by the tailback. I know that sometimes steps don't have to be so intricate and as precise as the offensive linemen are or the quarterbacks are, but we do want to make sure that our running backs understand that when we run power and counter, they've got to insert and run to the near butt cheek of the guard. It's always easy for us to stay inside and break out late. But if we step out too wide or we get too wide initially in the backfield with our steps and the way we get the handoff, then what's going to happen is it's going to pull the play side linebacker and the backside linebacker wider, making it harder for our pullers to get to them. 1. 2, it's also harder to start wide and get back inside. It also means at some point, I'm a big agility and conditioning guy, at some point we've taken extra steps. And when we take extra steps, we're slower to the hole, and it's giving extra steps to the defense to get to where we want to be. So I love the way Aaron here hits this thing coming downhill and stays tight. All right. Again, traditional 7 counter. You can see the patience of our tailback here. Again, this is just I formation. We're going to get into some gun stuff in a minute. All right. LD does a nice job. At this point, you can see now we do have a double team now. This guy's a 5 technique. We're getting a double team by our tight end and tackle. Boom. Again, our pulling tackle is a freshman. Would love for him to be more physical, but he doesn't want to make mistakes. He wants to make sure that he's getting in to the person he needs to get into. You can see the fullback nicely is replacing the backside, so anybody squeezes on him, he's able to ensure they can't chase down the play. The center does a great job of not overextending himself through the A gap, but make sure he blocks back. And then the running back just needs to make somebody miss. I just watch it from the rear. I love how the guard, he's responsible to block down the A gap. The A gap player disappears. He takes the path to the mic. Again, steps and knowing your assignments assures that. Here's 7 counter switch. Now we're in the gun. Little jab step. This look by our tailback could be different depending on the kid's patience, depending on how fast he gets to the hole. Notice we got this fullback in a different alignment. We call that, again, not to add too much to you guys and your layers here. That's echo for us. He's lined up in the echo. So we have Roger, gun, right, Roger, echo. 7 counter, F switch. Our puller, somehow the defensive end that we're supposed to kick out is way out here. So our guard understands he's supposed to kick out the first man in this space past the tackle. He continues to look for work. Tackle or the linebacker, he fills quickly. Maybe we don't do a good job blocking him at the point. We'll look at it from the end zone cam here. But the fullback is up in here. Yeah, it's not a good job by our tackle. But LD reads it and bounces it outside. Now, we've got Q read. So now we're running 7 counter. This is a different game. That other game was run week 2. This is like week 6. All right, so now we're still running a very similar formation. We're still going to pull and wrap the fullback, but now we've got the quarterback reading this space out here. And if this guy falls in, we know these guys have removed themselves so far from the box. They've been worried about our choice options, which we have tagged here. So right now we're running a game out here with our wide receivers. The quarterback keeps it and pulls and runs. I'm going to be honest with you folks. That's a quick read. It's because he's not really reading. We do have it built in as a true read, but we just knew that this was going to be so big. This is great communication from the coaches up top down to the sidelines. We just knew it was going to be this big. So we're just telling Stevie to give the poke and get out of there because he's got good wheels. We want him to get as much as possible. And Stevie could have been better at attacking the edge. He bowed this a little too much. Here it is from the back side. You can see what we're looking at, this space out here right now. This is the guy should be occupying this space. Watch him leave. All right, here we go. Now, running X tunnel. For us on this particular play, let me get to a wider view if we have it. Yeah. No. All right. I think we only have one angle here. So we're running this now, and we're looking at leverage. And I showed you this, guys, on a drawing that we had earlier from our playbook. So the safety right now is coming down, and we are a good run football team. So they're looking to take away all this stuff. So this safety and this corner is responsible for this space out here. And so what we're going to do is, okay, if we feel that we have the advantage out here, and right now there's 2 out here, or this safety might be kneeling or getting a little closer to this box, we're going to go ahead and throw the tunnel, X tunnel here. And again, that's all the quarterback's looking. This is a pre-snap read. This is not an RPO. Pre-snap, the quarterback knows. If we have this, throw it. If not, run it. It's that simple. Pre-snap. We got it. Throw it. We don't. Hand it off. Here we go. Again, it's still counter. In the box, we're still running counter. True counter tray. We're pulling the guard, pulling the tackle. And it's blocked. You're going to see in a minute. It is blocked. And it's been so lethal, you can see how they're committing these extra guys to the box. That is the safety right here coming down to take away counter. And he's going to start thinking. We talk about constraints. Our job as offensive coaches is to get these kids slowing down and thinking. Traditionally, in this defense, they're going to have dudes here, 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 and then the safety is going to be pretty good. So we want to make sure those guys are playing slower. We don't want to necessarily say we're that good and we're going to run at you and we're going to beat you. We're going to make sure that we put these guys in a situation where they're maybe a step slower. So that's what we're doing here. So here it is from the end zone. We're blocking again. You can see our linemen are blocking counter. It's a quick snap throw, so it's not like we're going to have anybody downfield. Now, we run it. You can see how they made an adjustment. They brought the safety down the box. Quarterback was smart. I said, hey, if you feel you got it, throw it. And we've worked a long time with this quarterback to make sure we're on the same page. Run it. Nothing hurting running it. Here we go. Run the ball. LD does a great job being patient, putting his hand on the back of the tackle, letting that tackle get up through there. X does a good job, cleans up. This thing's hitting downhill. Watch LD stay tight. He is tight inside the gap. Boom. He's tight down, so that way he can break out late. Again, still counter. Now, this is just another variation on the peripheral here out in the outside space. We're now running a divide play, which means we're going to take the corner, or they got wide out, X down, isolate him, and we're going to run basically a bubble. And if we have it, run it. Or if we have it, throw it. If we not, run it. And of course, we run it. Our tight end, this is something you have to understand and know. It's hard to find a tight end that does things all exceptionally well in our offense. And Aaron, number 7, is a tight end for us this year and never played that position for us. And he just does a good job right now understanding his rules and his assignments. Right now, I don't know who they have assigned to this C gap. We know they have 2 D gap players, so maybe he's a C gap player. And he understands his rules is to take the inside path to the backside linebacker, pick up the first man across his face. It means now whoever's pulling to the pig, the play side linebacker, he may not have anybody. So it's important right now to watch how our guys pick up the next man they should be blocking. Tight end comes down. He's going to block what I think is the pig because the pig is in his path. Boom. Puts the kick out now on the corner, man. We're kicking out the corner. Boom. Puts now our pulling tackle on a safety. Or it could be vice versa. They could have rotated it. I don't know. Boom. Boom. Here's the tackle on a safety. And there's LD in a foot race with the backside safety. That's the backside safety, man. We don't have an accountability for him. I get it. That guy's not blocked. But you know what? I'll put our running back. I'll put any running back on that kid one-on-one. And if he makes a tackle, it's still a first down. Quarterback read, Y flat. Once again, now in this situation, folks, we are looking at this kid right here. If he runs out with Z or with the Y, we just run it. It's still counter. We're running counter. It's still counter. You can see what happens with the defense as we manipulate them with the Y running out. I mean, they got 2 guys out there. Again, using the Y. This is Y switch. What that means now, instead of the fullback running as the puller going to the play side linebacker, instead of the tackle doing it, we are switching responsibilities. So the tackle is no longer going through. There's no fullback on the field because we're 11 personnel. Now our Y, which again, putting a lot of responsibility on this kid, high football IQ, he's pulling through for the play side linebacker. And again, we're running 6Q, which means the quarterback is running the ball. Tailback's going to flash across his face. Again, another look, still the same play. Now, we didn't use the quarterback doing this a ton. I mean, maybe 2-3 times a game. So he doesn't have the same feel as our running back does. He should be inside that. But again, credit to him, though. You know, our puller does a nice job of handling this defensive end who squeezes pretty good. He wraps it. I think our tight end could have done a better job of wrapping it and continue to get outside too. He kind of gets caught up in the traffic there. And if he does, if we're able to log this defensive end, when I say log, our guard is basically logging this kid because he squeezes. And if our tight end is able to see that log, see the butt of the guard go outside, and he continues outside, he fit up on this C-gap player right here. And then that allows the quarterback, when he rolls it outside, to get more. Here's a look at from the sideline. Again, Y switch read. We're reading the backside in. I mean, this kid is wasted. And 15 is not doing anything because he is honoring our read. Tight end is pulling. He's blocking the play side linebacker. Reading Y flat. Now you're going to see us actually throw it to the flat, and why we're reading it to throw it to the flat. So this is a true RPO. Come on. Watch this box player here and what he does and why we decide to throw it outside. Off the read. We don't throw it on this one. I apologize, man. It's the next one. All right. Read Z slant. Again, we're running slants to these things. Here it is. We're in 11 personnel. This is our W. Trying to pull people out of the box. We understood that if we start running the ball here, that we're going to have to pull his safety. And if we pull him, then we can throw the slant on the inside back down here. So again, right now, we're putting this guy in a constraint. He's the extra fallen player that they're accounting for to help make the tackle. We're pulling our extra guys. So what we have here is Carter running the slant, filling this void. He's got to win the inside space. We work on that. That's obviously something that we have to do separately. And, of course, the quarterback's reading that space. If it's there, throw it. Otherwise, give it. Still counter. Still pulling two. And because by the formations alignment, this is why the safety's there. We have a tight end here. Technically, we could say that Carter won that space. Probably reviewed that with him on the field. But now our reading Z hitch. Here's our Z. He is just going to run a spot check here to occupy these guys out here. Quarterback has the option to throw it. It's still a 6 counter F switch. Now the fullback's got the pig. Could have thrown it. But we're blocking the run. So it's never a mistake to run the football. But if we throw it and throw a pick, we ain't throwing it anymore. Kind of see it again. Now we're running W replace. The W's come in. We call the W that next wide receiver in for the fullback. So he understands the fullback's alignments. He right now, I think, is in Charlie. And then again, he knows how to move his alignment just a little bit outside to make sure he's got a clear release. He's looking to replace the backside linebacker. That's what we call replace. Easy read for the quarterback. Linebacker. So, and in this case, let's just say that we're having trouble in this double team down here. And because this guy is filling so daggone quickly that we're coming off the double team and we're getting kind of stoned there at line of scrimmage. We're not getting the same movement that we like to get. We're not getting a lot of push. So if this guy's filling fast or rotating fast, this is a great play to stop that, right? Of course, what they'll have to do then is they'll have to bring a safety closer down to make adjustments. And then we got a whole lot of other things we can do on the back end when we throw the football. That's a simple pitch and catch. We teach our receivers that replacement route is they're filling a void. It's not a landmark. I'm not telling him he has to go here. I'm not telling him he has to go here. We have to teach them football sensibility. So for us, he knows the distance that he has on this kid. He knows what this kid's done on the other plays we've set up. This kid is taking his steps, prep steps, getting back. He knows this kid is going to get out of the way. So he knows he's going to have that throwing lane for himself to catch the football. He doesn't need to take a hard step and get out. He just needs to find the open space. Quarterback's eyes are flashing directly to him, so we can see exactly where he is. It's just a pitch and catch. Again, W replace. He's a little wider now. We called it W replace, but this is actually more of a bubble screen. So we got it wrong up here. See it from the sideline. Better look. Again, we're reading this guy here, right? We're running counter to the right, 6 counter. Again, we're blocking 6 counter. He's going to bubble out. We're basing this guy. Quarterback's going to keep it, and then he's going to attack the edge. And honestly, it's not the way we want it done. The quarterback does not need to do that. I think what happened in this particular game, he had some trouble handling the football because he should have been able to just deliver that ball quicker and not had to take these steps on the outside. Because obviously, as he's taking these steps, guys are closing. Again, for us, just counter. Different look. Quarterback's reading the backside end. He has a choice. Again, we're trying to create numbers. His choice is to throw the ball out here. Watch the Z here, what his steps he takes, what he does. He's a decoy because him and the quarterback have had a long-time relationship. But the reality is that he knows that if he's going to get the ball, he doesn't need to push up field. He just needs to occupy his space. If he's open, and right now we do not have the numbers, he already knows he's not getting the ball, we're going to be handing the ball off. That's a pre-snap read. It's not an RPO. The RPO is, and again, so we have several things built in here. We are pre-snap. We have this, throw it. Post-snap. Quarterback read to D-end, 7 counter. So if this D-end closes or this D-end, whichever one we designate as the guy we're reading off the backside edge, we're going to pull the ball and the quarterback's going to run. And man, I'll just be honest with you, as we get further in the game, depending on what things are happening, we might just be, this is the play called, but we might just tell the quarterback, hey, just hand it off. There's no need for you to put yourself in a situation. Now we have 2 things built in here. Again, our quarterback, I don't know if anybody can teach your kid to do dual reads here on the RPO. We had 2 RPOs built in, but we're not reading. Well, actually, I'm sorry about that. We have a pre-snap, and then we have the RPO. So the pre-snap is the choice, again, built around if we have this space here, and then here's the RPO off the throw. Okay, running still 7 counter to the left, and then the RPO here. If the W is open, we throw it there. Post-snap, pre-snap. If we have this space out, we're going to throw it, which is what they do. Once again, still running counter. Now we've had the tight end here, and we've pulled him coming through in this formation. Now he is basing the outside player, the outside backer, and we're running counter. Here's Y switch. Tight end is now wrapping through. Man, I know we've seen this type play before, but I want to highlight the value and the importance for your back to stay tight inside the guard's hip because you can always bounce out. But it's hard to get back inside. If you start inside, that's where it's at. Once again, now we're pulling true counter. Both guard and tackle are pulling. We're looking at what the tight end's seeing when he runs outside to the flat. Leads us to the next play, I believe. Yep. Which is where we know in this particular game, we've been setting this up. Our tight end's been motioning and then coming through and pulling. Here, we're going to read the Y flat, which is a great way, again, to occupy the flat defender. They certainly do have a safety rotate at the top, but this is their flat defender because these two are going to carry the corner and the safety deep. The flat defender should be this guy. We're reading this guy, putting him in a constraint. Again, he's one of their studs. If he's going to close when we pull, we're going to throw it a flat. All right. So, man, that's it. For me, is there any questions?
You know, Coach, we didn't have any comments and any questions from it, but I gotta say, just as a wrap up, first of all, the amount of formations you put out there, I as a former defensive coordinator, I can tell you that's trouble. That is trouble right there. So I love all that. Now, looking at this, just as like I said, just to wrap it up, looking at counter and thinking about middle school coaches. If there was one piece of advice that you say you gotta do, if you're going to run counter, you gotta do this. What is that?
When you're running counter, you gotta make sure that you coach the offensive line off. I mean, it starts there. Again, I spoke about the advantage we feel that's important, and I've helped some youth coaches or middle school coaches work on playing gap schemes as part of their offense. And that's where we start. Day one is power and counter for us, because no matter what type of kids we have, if we can coach them to be aggressive, I don't care whether their hips are small or they're wide. We put weight on the hands, weight on the feet. We give them at level 3, and we give them angles, and we're able to get double teams on people. Other guys pull. You know, it's offensive line play. That's just what it is. And then you build off. And again, we have, and I noticed this as we work with the middle schools and we get farther down in younger groups, the splits and the alignment and depth of your offensive line changes. And so we start narrow and then gradually work out. And we teach our kids based upon the technique. If you have a 3 technique on the guard and you've got a backside shade, you have that large A gap, which is responsible for that A gap. Is that linebacker. He sits at 5, and we're getting stoned at the 3 technique, but we can't have a large gap in that A gap area to allow a run through. So we might condense the split a little bit. And then we know that what's going to adjust our hole is the width of that tight end, because he's going to stretch that 7 technique a little wider. And he doesn't have to necessarily worry about hitting his side, because his rule with a 7 technique, or a 6 side, however you look to talk about it, is chip and go out to set that 6 side 7 technique up. And so we really coach that. And so, as a middle school coach, working with those splits and starting there and gradually working out, I think helps you understand whether or not your kids are having success at it. Sometimes, like we start, even though we're a pretty advanced program by the time we get to seniors, we always start running power and counter from the I formation under center, because the timing of everything is just the way it's supposed to be run based on our rule system. And I don't want the timing of a tailback getting there too quick, or the quarterback steps being wrong to affect our ability to understand whether we're running power counter the right way up front.
I love it, Coach. Coach Sneade, thank you very much for an awesome presentation. Gentlemen, remember to hang out. We got another one coming right back up. But Coach Sneade, thank you, my brother. And we'll see y'all next time.
Take care. Thank you.